people are legit gonna think that their podcast, their phone or YouTube is like broken. It's like, oh shit, did my volume break?
Oh god, did the aux cord like just plug in right?
Like,
like halfway.
Who disconnected the Bluetooth?
yo, pass me the aux, bro. Yo, you better not play trash. Puts on the Double D experience. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the Double D experience. Sometimes crying, sometimes weeping, but always depressed as fuck. I got my Guinness, called my coffee Guinness, that I'm actually ready for. This is the Guinness Nitro Cold Brew. Actually, it is literally Guinness that is brewed with literal coffee. Like with actual cold brew coffee. So it's got that coffee note to it. It's a dry stout. You know, me and Dennis love our Guinnesses. It's probably still my favorite beer, if I'm being honest.
Same for me.
But the only damn thing is that I wish it said on the can how much caffeine it actually has. Because there's naturally occurring caffeine in it because it's brewed with literal coffee, but it doesn't say how much. So you're kind of mixing like an upper with a downer there, which is sort of the same thing as putting fucking CBD in your coffee. Makes no sense to me. Defeats the entire purpose of the caffeine. Yet here I am consuming a Guinness that's brewed with literal coffee, combining alcohol with coffee in that sense. I don't know. I was very sleepy. I've been talking to Dennis about some shit. I was a little depressed before this, so I needed a little bit of a caffeine jolt.
A little bit of
But your boy also needed a pick me up. He also wanted to drink.
I want to ask you then, because I know caffeine affects everyone differently. Like for my girlfriend, like she could drink coffee and she's like the caffeine doesn't affect her at all, apparently. Right. And then there's me, where one fucking cup of espresso is literally enough to make me go bouncing off the fucking walls. And there was even many times when I drank coffee a little bit, I guess, late into the day, maybe like 3 or 4 or whatever, and I would be up for the rest of the night. Like I would not have the urge to sleep like at all. Like all it would be is just me, let's say, under my covers, right? And just staring at my ceiling, my eyes wide open. Not even a single like feeling of wanting to sleep at all. And I'm just like, and I curse myself all the time whenever this happens. I'm just like, you fucking retard, you stupid fuck.
How can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? Just the thoughts running through Dennis's mind.
It's like just a billion thoughts running at like a million thoughts per second, literally. And it's just like, like, why does cheese smell the way it does? Why? Like literally just like a bunch of stupid, retarded questions like going off my head, like just.
Sometimes I dream about cheese.
Why do you sound
Can
like
you feel it? I feel it.
Why do you sound like Heath Ledger Joker?
Yeah, take that caffeine. It gives me a little push. Well, Dennis, to answer your question.
So you see, it's not about cheese. It's about sending a message. Everything smells.
What were you trying to prove? That everybody's smelling as you.
There was literally something that happened a week ago.
To answer your question about the caffeine.
Oh, just one thing. I just want to say this story.
Okay. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, please. Dennis, story time with Denise. I love it.
My friend's been quoting this ever since, and it has to do with that one scene from The Dark Knight. When Joker lights the whole pile of money on fire, and he has that quote like, "It's not about money." It's about sending a message.
Yeah, my favorite is the part before that. He's like, the city deserves a higher class of criminal, and I am gonna give it to him. I love that line. I unironically love that line.
So many quotable lines from Dark Knight, but not exactly about Dark Knight. But so me and a couple of my friends, we were playing. We decided to play a board game, and we decided to play the ultimate American pastime of a board game, Capitalism 101, which is Monopoly. And we got to the one stage of the game where one of my friends, she was actually, she got 3 of the 4 railroad spaces.
Oh, God. And one of them is just so fucking loaded by the end where you're just like,
literally,
fuck this game.
Literally, when we, I know a lot of people kind of, I guess, count up score in Monopoly differently. But for us, we decided that like, okay, we're not only gonna just count up what the properties we have, plus like let's say the spaces, the land, and plus like the houses and hotels, but we're also gonna be counting up the money that we have left from everything. So just counting up all of our shit. And eventually, though, it got to the stage of the game, where one of my friends, she had 3 of the railroad spaces. I had the last one. And every time, like, one rule that we decided to add in was that we decided to have, like, business deals. So, like, we would always be like, okay, listen, I will give you these 2 shitty spaces for your 1 really good space. And then $200. It was the reason why that this game went on so fucking long, because literally all of us were like yelling across like from the table saying like, it's like, what kind of fucking deal is that? I'm like, what? $200? No, at least 400. And then like we just go up and down like when it came to negotiation. So eventually, and going back to the railroad spaces, eventually I realized that like there is no reason for me to hold on to this one last railroad, because it really doesn't help me that much to begin with.
Right.
And even though I had like a good chunk of cash going, I could not buy even a single railroad from my friend there. And so I told her, okay, listen, I'm gonna give you this railroad space, and you are gonna give me, I think it was an X amount of dollars. And then I remember I kept like even jumping it up. It's like 650, 700, 750, and like I just kept being an asshole, because it's like, you know, like if I'm gonna literally sell this last railroad space, and usually, I mean, I don't know what the Monopoly meta is, but at the very least, like the railroads are a good space, and what, you know, obviously one thing about Monopoly is that eventually spaces turn into landmines. Because if, let's say, you land on a space that has like 4 properties and a hotel, you could possibly like just bankrupt the person just from landing on that space.
Bro, CLG Dennis teaching me everything about like professional
Monopoly play.
Right now. The greatest like athlete, technically, quote unquote, and also esport at the same time. Like, are there some like professional Monopoly players that prefer like the video game versions, or there's some people like, do they have like a term for like the traditionalist, like the freaking reactionaries who still play it on the board, the actual board instead?
Monopoly Classic.
That's what I'd want to watch. I watched Mr. Beast play poker against Ludwig and Critical, and that was some of the most entertaining shit that I saw on their channels in a while. But CLG Denise, please continue.
And so I ended up finally just saying, okay, like, here's a space, and she agreed to our little deal. And so then as I gave it to her, I essentially created a monster too, because she had a lot of properties already by that point. Now she also had 4 of the railroads as well. Like, this was like becoming like, she was arguably the Bezos of our board at the moment. And as soon as
this bitch was the 0.0101%.
Literally, and I gave her so once I gave her the railroad, I was just like, it's not about money. It's about sending a message. And then I gave her the card, and then I just paused for a second, and I was just like, everything burns. And her boyfriend just died laughing, like, as I gave her the fucking railroad.
Yo, Dennis, you're a fucking pimp. Holy shit, yo, like, it's about sending a message. It's like, I may have lost, but yo, I am the greatest. I don't need this W, because I have inspired generations to come.
I'm an agent of chaos. I legit was like, when I gave her that card, I was just like, I took Monopoly's greatest player and brought her down to our level. It wasn't that hard. You see, madness is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. And then she ended up winning the game. She fucking swept all of us,
I
literally.
mean, it sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like there was no coming back from that. This freaking Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk love child that was supposedly over here winning this Monopoly game.
I was essentially like Bezos's ex-wife, who he divorced afterwards. It's just like, listen, I'll give you this money, but you'd never even look in my general direction again. And I ended up actually being last when we counted up everything. I was like, in my head, I was like, you dumb fuck, you shouldn't have given that railroad. But in my head, I was like, it was so fun just to like act out that moment again. It just be like, it's not about money. Giving her the fucking railroad. It was great times.
Now's
Good
not
times.
the time for Park Place. That comes later. Oh man,
It's like,
I love it, dude.
fucking awesome. But yeah, so that was like my one board game night that I've had in a long time with friends. And
I'd love to go to one of those, man. I haven't been to like a board game night or anything in a while, man. I'm just working. You know, I'm working all day on the weekends doing the Nintendo job and then managing my kiosk at the Dream. I literally drove down from the Palisades like to my other job. It's like I'm getting that money, don't get me wrong, but like at the same time it's like I record the Double D experience on my one day off, and it's worth it. I love this podcast more than I love titties or something. I don't know, but let me ask you a question. Did you you have your girl with you? Did you have Genesis with you for the game night?
No, it was no, she couldn't make it that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
How did you guys meet?
Me
Because I have this is sort of related to what I was like talking about with you before we started recording. I could go on some rants about shit like that, but before I do,
Wait, rants about what exactly?
just some of like the stigmas and like social norms when it comes to dating and meeting new people. So you've been with Genesis for a while.
Yeah, for about
the Genesis has she has a lot of good games. There's Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Yes, exactly. Can't forget
Sonic
the classics,
2.
of course.
Sonic 2 is very nice. There's also that one with the fucking orc. I forget. Alex Kidd. There's that. You've got a rich library. As I'm sure you do. But before I go into this, actually, I don't know how I want to start this off. Fuck it. Like, how did you two meet?
So long story short was that we met through OkCupid. And
Oh, for real?
Yes.
So you did it in like the new socially acceptable way.
well, it wasn't that I was even that I wanted to go and find another girlfriend at that point. So basically starting from the beginning, coming right before I even installed the app along with Tinder and a few others, I basically had been broken up by my ex-girlfriend. She dumped me. And so when that happened, that was a 6-year relationship that I was in. And
I remember.
It was towards the end, definitely not the most positive thing in my life, for sure. And I also kind of also realized there was a lot of it, I think, did stem from, I guess, me as to like why she decided to, I guess, end it, my ex. And because she was already going on to nursing school and everything, getting on with her life. But at the very least, like from where I was at that point in my life, I was just about to finish university from Montclair. And I was working at Amazon at the time. And Amazon also really just like soured my mood like all the time. When not even really because the job was like kind of like meh. It was more because that my shift was at 4:30 in the morning to 8:30.
That's ungodly.
Yeah, and it was the only shift that they had at the time, and I requested so many times if they could change my shift to, let's say, something more reasonable, like 8:30 to 1, like normal people. But unfortunately, they every time I had requested it, it was always either denied or that they had no shifts available. So
Now pee in this cup.
Yeah, now pee in this cup and suck Jeff Bezos' cock right in front of all these people and tell
It's big enough for all of you.
And tell the media how much you love this cock.
And
so so by the time she had broken up with me, I was already still working at Amazon. But after the breakup, on a few days in, I kind of realized that like I don't want to be in Jersey like right now. Like I really don't. And I was really lucky enough that I had my sister and plus my cousin in Washington telling me that, you can come here and at least, basically have like a bit of a mini vacation for yourself and also just take your mind off of things. And so the days coming up to before I left for the West Coast, essentially California and also Washington was where I went. I had downloaded some dating apps, some that of course a lot of you are familiar with, such as OkCupid and Tinder and a few others. And Tinder I had no luck with at all. It was I think Tinder just has does not like Asian guys in general for some reason. I didn't get anything. Nothing.
Maybe that, and also the fact that I'm pretty sure only 1% of dudes on the entire app actually wind up getting laid through it.
And then an even smaller percentage get laid consistently with it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's all the women on there just sort of go for literally the precipice, the most attractive guys on there, and a lot of the other ones don't really stand much of a chance. It's like that app got fucking taken over by the hot people mafia.
The 0.01% hot people mafia.
Yeah. It just dilutes you into staying inside of it, you know what I mean? Thinking that there's something in there for you, but
and the app definitely is.
You're just not ready, you still don't got the makings of a varsity.
But aside from Tinder, OkCupid was one that I actually had a bit more luck with. And I guess also to a little spoiler alert, I did get many matches on OkCupid. My current girlfriend was the only one that I actually went on a date with, and then also my last.
Aww.
So I mean, You done?
Sorry.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So
that was cute as fuck, though. Unironically, that's why I said that.
Thank you. And so I had a couple days before my trip was coming up, and so I went on the app. And me and my girlfriend had before that. She was essentially just a girl that I had swiped right on, and we both matched on OkCupid up to that point.
Does OkCupid function the same way? You just swipe?
From what I remember, it's about the same. Yeah, but you could be.
I've never used it.
OkCupid's a bit more. You could be a lot more in depth with your profile and everything. It's
right.
It's I don't know. At least at the with Tinder,
they try to make it less about looks.
A bit, yeah. I mean, whatever, A for effort, I guess, because at the end of the day, everyone knows the reason why we're on these apps to begin with,
but of course,
yeah. And for her profile, and even for mine, we both said that we're not looking for anything serious, strictly casually dating, friends with benefits, type of thing. And
it's crazy how many relationships start that.
Yeah, and I once
no feelings. I'm not emotionally ready for it. Oh shit.
One thing that I told her once, years later after we started dating, was that those when it comes to at least casual daters, it's I always think when they say that I'm not looking for anything serious, it's just that's a straight up lie until you find the right person. Because literally, that's how it always fucking starts nowadays. Where you're saying that, I don't want to look for anything serious, but literally, sometimes it just happens like this, and out of nowhere, that they're oh fuck, and y'all both basically caught feelings, and then literally after that,
sneaks up on you. That's what true love does. It's not something you just acquire, you're playing a fucking Zelda dungeon and you finally find that little gold chest at the end of it. No, love is the twig that you trip on entering the third room of that dungeon, And that's the actual treasure that you found in there. It's not the thing that you thought you were gonna find that you thought you'd find at the end of the tunnel. It's the freaking twig that is just like, there's a reason I tripped over this twig. You know what I mean?
It's like you were that twig.
It always just sneaks up on you, even if it's someone you've known for years. My last girlfriend, I knew her for 3 years before we dated. Like 3 years. And then only the night that we had like our first kiss did she tell me, yeah, when I first met you, I had a giant crush on you. But then you told me how old you were. Because I was 10 years younger than her. She wouldn't consider I was 10 years younger than her. She wouldn't consider that at the time. But, you know, the ladies can't resist the pearly whites.
And this gringo...
Don't say the Cuban sandwich.
Gringo Cubano. I'm talking about you.
I thought you were going to bring up the Cuban sandwich again. It seemed like the perfect...
Oh, yeah, and also the Cuban sandwich.
Oh, motherfucker.
So, basically... so we ended up... we scheduled a date the day before that I would leave for... Actually, no, 2 days before I would leave for California. At least California first. And we talked a lot and stuff like that, and then finally when the day came, we had our date, and we weren't able to really I'm not gonna go into details because that's gonna be between strictly me and my girlfriend, but it's the first date. It's a date that I still kind of like think about and we talk about like every now and then, me and her, and we went to dinner, and then we did a couple things in the car. I'm gonna keep it PG-13 for the most part here, and
those PG-13 fucking like teenage rom-com sex scenes.
Yeah,
like oh, they did finger stuff. Ooh, and that 12-year-old is getting his eyes covered by his sister in the theater, who like his mom fucking dragged. Oh, shut up, Bone. Don't interrupt my recording.
Can I say one thing though, that one detail that I will say, because it was just absolutely fucking hilarious, and during our whole like, you know, having fun in the car and all that, she left me a giant hickey on my neck.
Oh.
It was huge, dude. I'm like talking softball on my fucking neck. And I always bust her balls about this because like my parents saw that hickey the day before I left.
Oh,
and
no.
They were like, and my mom straight up like in Korean was like, "What the fuck is that? Like, what's on your neck?" And I just basically like, you know, obviously I lied, and I was just like, you know, oh, me and a friend, we had some fun, and she was just like she just was like, oh. Like her Christian ears couldn't believe what she was hearing.
Oh my lord! And I would have just been like, Mom, I'm territory now.
I've been marked, literally.
You're gonna have to just deal with that.
Dude,
all right.
My mom like called it like, I don't know if it was my mom or I think my sister, but someone basically just called it like Pluto on my neck. It was like a straight up like fucking planet like on my neck. It was like almost the
That's
perfect
okay.
size.
It's not a planet anymore.
I feel bad for Pluto with that, but regardless,
yeah.
I digress. It was
some F's in the chat
for Pluto.
For Pluto, please.
So
I'd pour out my Guinness if I didn't already drink the whole thing.
I went to the airport with that fucking hickey on. I went through TSA with that fucking hickey. I went on that plane, and
TSA, those guys never get laid.
And there was a lady that was sitting next to me on the plane, and I saw her like exchanging glances like at my neck every now and then, and like I wasn't obviously gonna go out of my way to make conversation, but I just kept like seeing her like eye my fucking hickey, which like I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
And so when I landed at California, went to go see my sister and all that. She took me out to lunch with her and her friend, and they both like saw it like as nakedly as you possibly can imagine, because it was also California during the winter, I guess, so it was still kind of nice-ish outside. Like it wasn't, you know, California
fall weather.
Yeah, California don't get like fucking snow ever. So unless you're like in NorCal, I guess, but that's besides the point. And as I was at California, me and my girlfriend now, we kept talking, and eventually my time in California was coming to an end because literally the day was coming that I was going to go to LAX to go up north to Washington to go see my cousin up there. And the night before, we were talking a lot on the phone before I was supposed to head to the airport with my sister, and we started to get real heavy with the talking. Not in that way, but on like more towards like I guess on like the love side of things. And essentially, like I'm not gonna recount the whole conversation, but basically it ended on me just saying flat out that I love you, like on the phone. And that was, I know, and it was obviously this is a move that I would never tell anyone to do, because that is a nuke and a landmine that you're dropping like on that person. And
you are Korean.
The fuck does that? What?
Nothing. Go on.
I am not those people that got blown up from those two cities, David. I am not from Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
That's not what I was referring to. I was referring to the
you racist cunt.
I was referring to the upper persuasion Koreans who always talk about nuking people, but they don't.
Anyways,
I was not referring to any individual of the Eastern persuasion, the Eastern persuasion Asian. That is not what I meant.
Anyways,
stop calling me a racist. I'm tired of always being the bad guy, Dennis. And every fucking thing I do. All right, go on. What's your go? This is not therapy. This is the Double D experiment. Let's go. It's fine. That's fine. Everybody just relax. Here we go.
Literally, David. By the time I finish recounting this story, this podcast will be over.
Yeah, things got a little heated just now. It's fine. Just simmer down.
So I basically dropped that bomb on her, and there was a bit of a pause. And she started crying. And she basically... Because basically what the conversation stemmed from was that because she was already seeing a lot of other guys. And I was already talking to a lot of other girls. And we obviously, at least we acknowledged that, we kind of do have a bit of a thing for each other. And I didn't want to essentially, I guess, wait until she would be available to date. So at the very least, I just decided, fuck it, I might as well just lay out how I feel right now as bluntly as I can. And I just said the 3 words and just said straight up, yeah, I love you. And after that, after I said that, she decided to make it official between us. And so that's where it sort of began from there. And but we decided that we're gonna obviously make it official, if that makes any sense. Obviously when I come back, because doing it through phone is one thing, but obviously doing it face to face is another thing entirely.
Yeah, the phone doesn't feel as good.
Yeah, not as much at all.
The charging port is too tiny.
So I went on vacation to Washington, in Seattle specifically, and had my fun there. And basically, fast forward, came back to Jersey. She basically, as soon as I landed, I just took the car and went straight to her, and made it official then. And then the rest is history, as they would say. And I don't often like telling my story, only because of a few reasons, and one of them being is that this kind of thing, it does happen, but it is very rare. And not to mention, everyone's story is I think I would at least go as far as to say that everyone's story as to how, let's say, they ended up with someone or they made it official or whatever, like basically is all unique. There's always like little details in there that obviously differentiate the stories from one another, from other people's like kind of relationships.
Yeah.
And in my case, like, you know, I was just coming off of like, this is another detail too that like I remember a lot of my friends and even family were like, you know, like, bro, like, you know, she wasn't concerned about that, like, because I was just coming off of the tail end of a relationship that lasted 6 years. And for anyone, including me, I would have been like if I was like anyone else, I would have been like, oh, and just ghosted that person, like, low key. Like, that's a lot of baggage you're coming off of, you know?
So you stepped outside of the norm. That's the thing that I was telling you earlier. You remember what I said, how like life is not for the timid?
Mm-hmm.
There's an even older saying than that, which is that fortune favors the bold. You said you were as blunt with her as you could possibly be, and that's how you do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say. That's how you do it. You know, you play your dumb games, you win dumb prizes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You hear that before. A lot of people complain that they can't find love, but that's because they play their dumb, shitty little games, or it's too soon to do this, blah, blah, to do that. And there's certain rules that you have to follow, I guess. But most people don't wind up happy in that regard. You know, 90% of relationships that start in your 20s either don't take off or fail. Or I think it's that they fail. I think that's the thing. And then, you know, you have the divorce rates being what they are. And that's because so many of those people are caught up in the status quo. You weren't afraid to actually express your feelings outright. A lot of people are. They hide them and shit. Sometimes they drink a coffee-flavored Guinness to hide how they're feeling on the inside. And fortune does not favor those people because they're not actually facing their emotions head on. You did. And that's how you actually wound up with her, by being as blunt as you could. Be like, nah, it's on the phone, I can't do this. Or, nah, I'm off of a relationship too soon, I can't do this. Like, all this, the more you waste your time on all that stupid hypothetical what-if bullshit, the more time you're going to spend in that stupid hypothetical what-if bullshit. Fortune favors the bold. Like, you got to take those jumps every now and again if you want to actually fucking get anywhere in life. And I think that's honestly a big reason why apparently half of the human population can't find true love, is because I think they're fucking scared, among other things, or insecure with themselves. You know, you gotta just sometimes lay out how you feel. Like, besides, sometimes you just gotta go with the flow, but sometimes you just gotta lay out how you actually feel. It's like you always wait for, like, the right moment. Guess what, motherfucker? The right moment's never gonna come. You know what I mean? Unless, I mean, sometimes it can feel like the right moment, and congratulations, you both got that, and you both have feelings for each other, which, by the way, if you have that, you're the luckiest fucking person in the entire goddamn world. Do not let that shit go. But, you know, the more you wait for that to happen, the more it's not going to happen. Sometimes you have to make the right moment happen, you know? That's what I admire about your story, and it's half the reason I even asked you the question as to how you and Genesis met in the first place, because I think there's too many fucking people who have too many fucking dumbass rules and too many stupid little stigmas as to certain people you can and cannot date. And those are told by some of the unhappiest motherfuckers that you'll ever actually meet in your life. Or, you know, some wiser people maybe who are older, but I don't know how much I necessarily agree with that. So, did you have anything else to say about that?
Well,
or
couple of things. And this is part of the reason why, like, I don't really like to tell my story too often to people, is because, one, like, doing what I did, let's say verbatim, could easily backfire on anybody, and not to mention also my circumstances as well. I was coming off of a 6-year relationship. That's a red flag for a lot of people, for good reason too. And it's like, and I thought in my head, if she rejects me, then that's fine. At the very least, I just laid out how I felt at the very moment, because at that point, like, I felt like, fuck it, like, who gives a shit about the consequences at this point? And, like, you know, might as well just, like, lay it out there regardless. But, like, also, again, we also made it very clear from the get-go that we were, like, this is gonna be strictly just, you know, sex. It's not gonna be, like, no love involved, no feelings, no nothing. But obviously, yeah, we were like, yeah, lol, JK, like, in the end. So, I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like,
I love you.
There was this one famous, I don't know about famous, I guess, but like this one Vine that I remember all the time watching it. It was just like this black dude like going up to this like black chick. And he's just like, I love you, bitch. I ain't never going to stop thinking about you, bitch. And he's got like
Freddy
a
Krueger be like,
like he's got like a shitty Fisher Price guitar, like as he like walks up to her, and the girl's like, "Oh my god!" Like as he like starts singing.
See though, that reminds me of like the Danny Sexbang story that he told on Game Grumps about how when he was young, he worked at this restaurant. There was a waitress there that he really, really liked, but he never just waited for the right moment. And then he told me like this big burly black dude came in and like started talking to that woman. Who was like, "Yo, you got a boyfriend?" She's like, "No." "You want to go out?" "Sure." And he was like, "It's that easy?"
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, that's the story of when he was a young man. Danny Sexbang. His virginal years lasted until he was 23, believe it or not. The man whose entire fucking identity and brand is about the coital arts. He did not lose his virginity until he was 23 years old.
And banging.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He was a late bloomer. And the thing is, too, and
that's a beautiful thing, you know. Sometimes the late bloomers are just wind up being, like, some of the just greatest people. Shout-outs to our late bloomers out there. I love it.
Yeah, and I've been obviously together with my girl like coming up on 4 years now, and
that was the Guinness. I'm sorry.
No, it's no worries. And I guess the only thing I'll just like leave it on is that like I'm very happy now.
Top of the morning.
Sorry. I'm very happy now, and obviously I feel definitely a lot happier than I was like years ago during that real dark time in my life, and it was real funny because like some of my friends straight up were kind of low-key concerned that like, you know, I moved on so quickly like from my ex, and considering it also was like 6 years, but it also got to the point where not only was she really toxic, but I was also really toxic. And I think after that whole thing happened, it was just like at the very maybe my subconscious was just telling me like that, motherfucker, you're free. Like literally spread your wings and fly, my dude. Like just go. Like you are free. Just go fly. Like that's how like I think the way my body like or my mind sort of like kind of compartmentalized like everything. And even though I will admit too, like at the very least, like initially I was also shocked too that like I was able to just move on so quickly like that. But at the same time, like I think even during when I was with my ex, like I was just like counting down the days until like, oh my fucking god, I want to leave this so bad. Like I think it was just like all of it was just so deep in my subconscious and like just in my heart of hearts that like it wasn't until like, and if there's one thing that I will like thank her on this was that she gave me like I guess she didn't really give me an out, but my ex literally like, you know, left and walked out the door. And because at that time I'd had no reason, like I mean I guess in my heart of hearts I did have a reason that I wanted to end things, but it was not, I felt as if it was not going to come from my end. So at the very least I if I ever, actually no, I kind of don't want to. I kind of don't want to meet her again, but like if in another life like thing, I probably would at least if there was anything that I would thank her for, it was definitely that, because I would have never been able to meet Genesis any other like I wouldn't have been able to meet her were it not for that. So
wow.
So if anything, because I know a lot of people now, like I know, and they acknowledge, and you know, we've acknowledged it too, that obviously modern dating is like just is 10 times. If it was, let's say people considered it difficult before, it's even obviously 10 times more difficult now. Way harder. Yeah,
I blame the internet. And among one other thing, but like honestly, your story's admirable, including that last part about like that little blurb about your ex, because there's still a piece of me that feels like I can't forgive mine for what she did to me. I mean, she didn't cheat on me or nothing, but you know, it's just it's like a different ballpark. Because the thing is, I only dated her for a year, and I didn't get over her as quickly as you got over yours. You know, people are different. I had one of my boys tell me he like got over like his ex-wife in like 5 minutes. Like, he told me he literally got that's what he told me, and I'm like, really? Dude? You know, obviously he's with another girl now, and he's been with her for God knows how long, but, you know. Still, mine took forever. Probably because I couldn't go anywhere, or work, or see anyone, or live life, lest I contract a deadly virus and bring it back home to my mother. But, yeah, that was a fucked up time for your boy. So, you know, now he's just living in the present. He's trying his hardest. His hardest ain't always good enough, but he's growing and learning as best as he can, which leads me to this. This is you want to know what we're doing right now?
What are we doing?
We're going back to the notes.
We're going back to the notes.
Yeah, because this is something I've actually been meaning to talk about for a long ass time, and I know it's something I've been meaning to talk about for a long ass time because I don't even have the tab open. It's just something that was in my brain that, you know, recent events and you telling me that story made me think about. And that's not even just necessarily just modern dating. That's the concept of the friend zone. Because, and I feel like a lot more people are, I feel like it's sort of like growing to be like kind of an older stigma, and a lot more people are growing more mature with it than there were when I was growing up.
Same
but
here,
I still think there are a lot of people, mostly like young men, I would say specifically, that still see the friend zone as like a prominent thing. They're probably the same people who blame cancel culture for everything and never think about accountability. Sort of the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Of like those people who claim cancel culture, you know, doesn't exist or some shit. Or like the same people who like say that cancel culture doesn't exist and that it's all about like accountability or whatever. It's like the opposite end of that spectrum where they blame it on everything. Like, oh, this guy got canceled for this. Oh, you can't say anything nowadays. And there's a more middle ground for that. But I just think it's kind of like a sign of immaturity when like people talk about like something like the friend zone. Because when I was younger, you know, I was more into that kind of niche. You know, I would get feelings for any girl that spoke to me as a young little aspy teenager, you know, and I would think, oh, I'm in the friend zone, this and that. And if I could talk to my younger self, I'd be like, well, buddy, did you tell her how you felt? No. Well then you're not in the fucking friend zone, you goddamn troglodyte idiot. You know what you see what I'm already getting at here? It's like, how could you possibly be in the friend zone if you never took any initiative? What the friend zone means is that, like, you're, like, stuck in there or whatever. Like, you're stuck only being this person's friend without dating them. But that's not necessarily true if you've never put your best foot forward and you tried. Fortune favors the bold, my friends. You know, like, if you never, like, put that best foot forward out of shyness or fear, then guess what? You're not in the fucking friend zone. Even if, like, she considers you only a friend or has said that old phrase, like a brother or some shit like that, you know, that all those fucking sad boy Twitter pages, like, wrote about. Like, that, like, posting that fucking gif of Carlton in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air shooting his shot and, like, looking up at the ball as if he just saw the second coming of Christ and then it just not even hitting the goddamn backboard of the basket from, like, a mile away. I love that gif because you could just post that and then every guy knows exactly what you're going through. You could just post that gif online and be like, yo, this man shot his shot and he got fucked. You already know.
Yeah.
You already know.
Hey, and it happens more often than people like to believe. Like,
oh, yeah.
Guys will get shot. Like, guys are literally, like, rejection sponges. We are built, and here's the thing, like, when it comes to even modern dating, now and even before, like, we have to learn how to get rejected. And we have to learn how to deal with it. Here's the thing, though, too, and for any of the ladies that are listening to this, you guys are not built for rejection. Because if we rejected you, it would destroy you. It would destroy your entire being for like 2 months.
The other way around, and a man friend zones a woman, which does happen, by the way. I know most people think only women friend zone men. That's not true. Men friend zone women. It happens.
Yeah.
Then the guy's a douchebag, and she vents about you to her friends. God, how could he be so blind not to fucking see this?
Yeah.
What a dumbass. But if the guy says anything about, like, the woman being blind, not to see that he has feelings for her, oh, you sexist, misogynistic motherfucker. Oh, my lord, no. Sometimes people are dumb, and they can't see past it. I feel like I've been blind to that. But at the same time, people think the old concept of the friend zone was like when like woman, or or sometimes a man will say you're like a brother or a sister to me, and then you don't do anything about it. Yeah, they said that, but who knows? Something could change when they realize that you have feelings for them. And guess what, motherfucker? They're not gonna realize that until you actually work up the nerve to shoot your shot. I always feel like I'm not like at my highest potential right now as a person in my career because I think I'm afraid of certain things. Low key, I'm thinking about trying stand up. I think I could actually be kind of good at that, but at the same time, that's fucking scary. You know what I mean? So like, that's just something to think about. You know what I mean? But like, it's the same thing when it comes to dating. You're in the friend zone when you tell them how you feel. They reject your ass, and then they try to force you to still be friends with them. That's the friend zone. That's because like you established what was already felt there. It didn't work out. And now, like, you feel obligated to still be friends with the person, or they feel obligated for you to still be friends with them. That's the friend zone. It's not the friend zone when you're just too fucking scared to tell them how you feel. That's not the friend zone, you know what I mean? Like, or it's the friend zone when they have a boyfriend or some shit. That's a whole different ballpark. Like, my ex-girlfriend had a boyfriend when they were together, when I first fell in love with her, and that was miserable. And then other stuff happened, and then eventually me and her got together because obviously she left him after God knows how long. But, like, I hate how that concept gets thrown around among other things. You know, it's like... I have another tangent I to go on here, but before I do that, what do you think about that?
I mean... I'm only saying... Okay, what I'm about to say is coming from someone that has chosen to never be in the friend zone, like, period.
Yeah.
And when I say chosen, it's like, I'll even admit, back in the day, like, I was even too pussy to even be in the friend zone. I was always way too pussy to, like, ever let any girl know, like, how I felt about her. And then even, let's say, after that, be in the friend zone.
Yeah,
but
at least you know what the actual friend zone was.
Yeah. But at the same time, though, it's like, for all the guys who, let's say, shot their shot and, like, they feel as if they're forced to be in that friendship and like basically have that friendship like eat away at you because obviously like the rejection attached, like, and this is like for guys like that are who are still learning to kind of grapple with rejection in general. Like, you're gonna realize a lot maybe a bit later on that you yourself are in control of your own destiny. And I'm like really defiant when it comes to a lot of things. And one thing that I'm really defiant towards is that like letting anyone have any sort of like, let's say, power over me. And I know that sounds a bit like kind of edgy, I guess, and kind of low key, like, it's like a bit of, it's like, oh, Dennis, you sound a bit of a faggot.
Censor that post edit, Nintoonist.
And
talk about having power.
But it's toxic. That is one thing that like if there is one thing that I could never stomach in my life is like having like any sort of like person presence or anything, like have any like sort of power over me. And I would, if it was me, and I never been in like obviously that friend zone situation before, but I would end that shit real quick and just be like, you know what? All right, shot my shot. All right. And she'd be like, what? We can't be friends? I'm like, no, I only wanted to be friends with you because I wanted to fuck you. But that's not happening. So anyways, later, bye. Like,
that's relatable.
It goes really like, I think it's fair to say that. As at the very least, like, if you like, this is also, it all comes down to honesty, guys. It always comes down to just saying how you really feel. And even if it is just a girl you want to fuck, or let's say a girl that you really want to date, if she don't want it, walk away. Take your ball and go home. Literally, there is no point.
And be sure to pick up the other one and drag it on the ground on the way back.
Like, just take your balls and go home. Literally, there is no point. There is no reason. There is no fucking reason why you have to be in that anymore. if your end goal, let's say,
that's what I did with my ex. She tried to force me to be friends with her, and I'm like, she's like, oh, we're still gonna go to tournaments together and stuff, and I'm like, no, we're fucking not.
There was another thing. Not. There's a detail that I didn't mention, at least as far as like when my ex broke up with me, is that she said like, you know, could we still like try to be friends? And I tried to be friends for 2 days, and then I ghosted her on everything. Like I could not. I really tried hard with all my being. For 2 days. Could not do it. I just could not do it.
Listen. If I was still friends with my...
Hold on, another thing. I think that was also some pussy shit, too. Like, you're gonna be friends with the girl that dumped your ass?
Well, like, sometimes it takes, like...
Personally, for me, that's how I felt about it. That's why like I was just like, no way. Fuck no. Hell no.
Well, it sometimes takes a little bit of, like, you know, time or perseverance, because I wanted to be friends with mine because I couldn't just quit her cold turkey at first. Then a couple of weeks went by, and we never saw each other since we broke up. That to this day, that is the last time I ever saw her, like in person ever. And I just realized one day, like, I can't fucking do this, because it's like I was being kept on a fucking leash.
Yeah, exactly. That was another thing.
You know what I mean? It's like, just because, like, if you're gonna break up with somebody, because this is what my ex tried to do to me. If you're gonna break up with somebody, you're breaking up with everything. You don't get to fucking break up with you don't get to just get rid of the bad things you don't like about a person and keep all the good. That's the least fucking fair thing that you can do to somebody. Ever. Like, just to keep them on that leash like that. And that's what I have to say to the people who say that, you know, the friend zone doesn't exist. Because that's like the other side of that extremist spectrum. You have like young people or whatever, mostly young dudes, who will say, I got friend zone, this and that, blah, 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 friend zone, who never shot their shot. And then you'll have some some older, quote unquote, more mature people who will say that the friend zone doesn't exist and that it's misogynistic or some shit for them to even say that.
Do people really call it that?
Yeah, because it's not fucking true.
Fucking,
you know, the friend zone
all y'all who say that
shut the fuck up, because the friend zone exists. The fucking friend zone exists. It's just not what, like, you fucking
losers.
Can I fucking make my point, please?
I'm sorry. What you said about those type of people who think about the friend zone like in that way, I really hate that shit.
Yeah, and I think it's old fashioned. I think there's less and less and less people who are like thinking it like that. But when I was young, that like ideology was pretty prominent. You know what I mean? And those are probably the same people who like try to like force somebody or like blame whoever the person who got friend zoned is for not wanting to be friends with them anymore. Because the thing is, everybody in that situation, when someone friend zones another person, everyone is just trying to find someone to blame. Yep. And most of the time, there's no one to blame. The heart wants what the heart wants. It's literally just the textbook case. And this is like a part of like the core philosophy of my being, of like my outlook on life, in that it's one of those things where just shit happens. And you have to deal with it. It's like, yeah, it sucks that this person didn't like you back. Yeah, it sucks that this person had feelings for you and you technically friend-zoned them in this sense because you rejected them. But it just happens, and everyone's trying to blame each other. Which is why I hate when people say it's like misogynistic or some shit if it's like a young dude being friend-zoned by a girl, for the guy to not want to be friends with the girl anymore after they got rejected. It's like, if he can't do it, he can't. Imagine being like literally balls to the fucking walls, you know, knee deep, you know, licking the goddamn pavement, in love with somebody, only for them to reject you, knowing that you're literally never going to be with them. You could be that guy who never gives up and waste their entire life on someone that they can never have, kind of like my ex-girlfriend.
You gotta walk away from that shit. You gotta walk away.
And some people never do.
Take your balls and go home.
Yeah. But you can't blame a person for that, for not being able to be friends with that after that. Yeah, it fucking sucks. It sucks for everyone involved. But it just has to be the case. If I was still friends with my ex-girlfriend, holy fuck, Dennis. If I was still friends with my ex-girlfriend, I don't even want to think about the mental state that I'd be in. I don't even want to think about that, because I don't think I ever would have, like, you know, gotten over her if she was still in my life. I genuinely don't think fucking Guinness, indigestion. I genuinely don't think that ever would have happened. So I hate when people blame, like, them for having to do that. Like, they have their emotions too. They got rejected. You know, most of the time, like, I mean, you know, and I didn't get rejected recently, but in a weird sort of way I did. And I don't blame the person for it or anything. It's not like a textbook like, oh, I asked you out and they said no. It's not something like that. But like, you know, sometimes when people just, I hate it when people like blame somebody for doing what they got to do. Like, again, like if I was, their emotions are valid too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It doesn't
It's
make
like,
them
you
any
can't
less
just let some-
valid just because
Exactly.
they're the dumpy. And again, to all you people who literally, this is news to me. I did not know this. Like that there are people out there that legit consider people who get friend zone and then end the friendship to be like, you know, basically, essentially their versions of monsters. I'm like, you guys are fucking faggots if you straight up believe this way. Like I'm
they
sorry.
have to do what they have to do for themselves as well. Like you did what you had to do in rejecting them. So why can't they do what they have to do? Why are they fucking obligated to fucking be friends with you? They're not obligated for fucking dick. All right, you know what I mean? Like the only reason I was friends with my ex for a few weeks after I was is because I wasn't ready to quit her yet. The breakup was sudden. I couldn't just quit her cold turkey like that. The idea of her just suddenly not being in my life was too much. And then as the weeks slowly went by, and, you know, we still said I love you to each other every night, and we slowly stopped texting each other, I stopped responding to her most of the time, I realized I can't fucking do this, and we agreed to not talk for a while, and it has been almost 2 years since that conversation. But it was for the better, as I say that. So, that, and, like, I guess I have time to go on like one little other tangent here. I mean, that's like the friend zone exists. That my point is that the friend zone exists, but it's not what fucking anyone thinks it is. That's the thing I'm going at here. Because like people who get friend zoned will be like, oh, bitch friend zoned me. What an asshole. Why do girls only choose guys who like walk all over them? Women never choose the night. Shut the fuck up. Like, no, that's not true. And then you'll have the other end of that spectrum, where they'll be like, oh, the friend zone doesn't exist at all. You know, just like, you know, just stop being a pussy. Or whatever. Now, like, just hold my fucking bag, like, while, like, you know, we go to the movies together and I leave with another dude. It's like, no.
White knight faggots,
It's definitely some white problems as well. And the thing I hate most of all, and I even vented about this to my therapist today, I hate the stigmas of, like, who you can and cannot date. Because people claim to be so progressive. And that, like, we're moving fucking past that, and that you can date anybody. The guys can date the girls, and the guys can date the guys, and the girls they can date the girls, and you can date a trans person who identifies as a woman, blah blah blah, whatever. It's all good. Let people love who they want to love. That's the healthy way for society to move on. The more you bottle up those emotions, that's how fucking school shootings keep happening.
Yeah.
All right? So it's important to let anybody be who they want to be, regardless of their sexuality. It's for the betterment of everybody. But,
is it a big butt?
it's...
Are we talking J-Lo sized butt?
Does J-Lo have a big ass? I don't even remember.
She has a pretty big ass. And she's
Jennifer
got
Lopez?
like that. Yeah, she's got that like MILF status now.
She
too.
still looks fucking incredible. She's in like her 50s now, isn't she? Let's find out. Because Jennifer Lopez... 50 fucking 2!
Yeah,
God
dude.
damn, you look incredible!
And have you seen her butt?
Let me hit the images tab.
Butt. Jennifer Lopez butt.
Oh, put me in the zoo because I am a goddamn chimpanzee. Oh yeah, is she still with Ben Affleck?
I think
I don't think so. Oh, she's still with Ben. I'm sorry that you had to deal with all the secondhand pot smoke. Mark Anthony, Chris Judd, spouses. Why am I talking about Jennifer Lopez? Okay, hold on a second.
You got distracted by booty, sir.
I didn't even find an image of her booty. Google Images filtered that shit out. The point is, I hate when people like talk about all the kinds of people that you can't date, ignoring how amazing a connection can possibly be. Let me list what I mean by this, okay? You can't date your friends. Right? Yeah, there's so many people say that, especially all those dumbass like rom-coms like Threesome in the 90s and the early seasons of Friends that were frankly pretty garbage that no one likes to talk about.
Or How I Met Your Mother as well.
Or How I Met Your Mother as well, which is obviously the bro code, or the bro, or whatever the fuck it was called in there. Which is so funny that shit was written by a gay man. It's too perfect. Neil Patrick Harris is he is a treasure.
Oh he's awesome.
He is fucking hilarious. The fact that they chose him to be like this fucking womanizing, like a fucking like bro code asshole, and he's like He is of the gay. In real life, it's just the funniest shit.
It's even
like in the
funny.
fucking Harold.
Yeah, I was gonna mention how they carried that.
I thought you were gay. I am gay. Gay for that ass. Amazing, man. I love it. But anyway, let me fucking make my point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this man has some Halo to play.
That's me.
That's dropping the day that we're recording this, by the way.
Hey. Well, it already dropped.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for still recording with me, Dennis, at all. I appreciate that. Yeah. You can't date your friends, right? Yeah, because you're going to, mess up the friendship. There's a chance that you might mess up the friendship, because what if you break up? I hate the people. First of all, that's already a pussy mindset to begin with. Not dating somebody because you're just scared that you're going to break up at the end. Okay. So I guess just be single for the rest of your life, fucker, because all your relationships might end for whatever reason. But yeah, there's that stigma. You can't date your friends because you might mess up the friendship or you might mess up your friend group. It doesn't matter if you have feelings for each other. Fuck that. You might mess up you might mess up what you already have. No. I hate that. Okay, so whatever. Can't date my friends. Oh man, I have this coworker. She's really attractive and we seem to be getting along great and even getting a little handsy. But Nope, can't date your coworkers either. Because if you do that, you might create some weird little work conflicts up in there. And then, again, what if you break up? It's going to be awkward because you work together, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter if this is the only place that you're in for 8 hours a fucking day. You're not allowed to date the people that you meet here. You still got to go somewhere else in the limited, tiny amount of time that you have while you slave to the capitalist regime. Okay. Can't date my friends. I can't date my coworkers. Who else can I date? Nobody who's already in your life. You have to meet a fucking stranger at a bar on the street, or you have to just meet with somebody on this app because it's the modern way that they do it. Do you see what I'm getting at here? I think it's incredibly dumb that there are all these fucking dumbass stigmas that say you can't date the people who are actually in your motherfucking life. You have to just fucking... And I don't just blame the internet for this. I blame Disney. I blame Disney because those motherfuckers preach to us that you fucking, Prince Charming's gonna ride on horseback and, this bitch is literally gonna fall out of a tree and he's gonna catch her. And then, we shall be married in the morning. No. That doesn't happen in real life. And now the modern Disney films are all about how that doesn't happen in real life and ignoring those stigmas because Disney wants to play to the SJW feminist crowd. We all know that already. But the point is, why am I expected to fucking meet someone out of the blue and just expect a love connection to happen? Why am I not allowed to date the people who you already have a connection with? The healthiest relationships, from what I've seen, come from people who were actually friends first, or the people who you take the time with to get to know and establish a relationship with first, before you get to be with them. So I don't understand the whole stigmas of, the healthy relationships being with somebody you're supposed to just meet. I thought it was the opposite. Do you see what I'm fucking saying here, my friend? My ex-girlfriend, I was friends with her for 3 years. 3 years before we got together. 3 years. We got to know each other pretty well, and the two of us didn't even realize that we were slowly falling in love with each other as we just gradually started hanging out one-on-one. There was a time together where me and her literally just streamed Smash for 12 fucking hours. And we didn't even realize how long it had been. We just got food together, we were just chilling, being idiots together, and all the while, that was still, a year, over a year before we got together, and we didn't even realize that we had feelings for each other at the time, as it was building up. You see what I'm saying out here? It's the truest stuff comes from the people who are in your life that you put that time and energy into. That's why I'm just trying to live in the present, my post-breakup, and just love the ones I'm with. And I'm doing a great job at that. I've been interacting with all sorts of different kinds of women, women who are the polar opposites of each other. And even though I'm not dating or fucking them or anything, it's still been a very healthy experience for me. Mm-hmm. But no. Back off. Coworkers, friends, not okay. You have to meet someone on fucking OkCupid or some shit before you get together. It's I hate that fucking stigma so much. It's the people say you can't date someone that you already established a relationship with because you're afraid it's gonna end. All those dumbass relationship advice people are usually fucking single. You goddamn pussies. Like, why are you so fucking afraid of, like, a relationship bailing? You're so scared that, like, a real loving, trusting relationship that you're in is gonna fail that you never fucking bother in the first place. It's the same. I know you're, like, the opposite end of, like, that SJW spectrum, but guess what? You're basically the same as the fucking young teenagers who are too scared to shoot their shot and then claim they're in the friend zone. Because you're a fucking pussy. You're too scared that it's gonna end, so you never even fucking try in the first place. So I hate that stigma that says you can't date your friends because what if you break up? It's going to be awkward. Oh, you can't date your coworkers. Workplace environment. It's going to be awkward. These are the people who you actually already establish these connections with. They're the people who you're more likely to, like, forge these kinds of feelings for. They're the people who you usually have the healthiest relationships with. Even though, like, my relationship ended for the reason that it did. We knew each other for years. Me and her developed our own little language. I'm the kind of person who, like, if I'm in a bad mood, literally nothing can pull me out of it unless I really try to pull myself out. But the second I saw her face, it took me out of that funk. No, I shouldn't have dated her because we were friends first. What if we messed up the friendship? Which we did. Technically, we're not friends anymore. I haven't spoken to her in, like, almost 2 fucking years at this point. It feels like 1 year because I don't consider 2020 a year that happened. But, like, you do get what I'm saying here, right, Dennis? I mean,
of course.
It's just like, yeah, there's that risk involved, but, like, you're saying that two people who love each other shouldn't fucking be with each other because they were friends first or some shit, or they were coworkers and they might break up and therefore it'll ruin it first. Why is, like, the whole status quo, the stigma of dating now, which less and less and less people are doing successfully, especially in Japan, where they have a literal fucking breeding problem. Not even kidding about that. Look it up. That you can't date the ones that you're with. These are the people in your life. Like, if anything, those are the ones that you're going to have the more established connections with. I don't know why everybody, like, the whole status quo, the stigma is that you're supposed to just meet someone, have a love connection, and then just date forever. Sometimes that happens. But I don't think it happens to most people.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like,
especially my shit is
one in 4 dudes between the ages of 18 and 30 are a virgin now, Dennis. Mm-hmm. If there were 2 other dudes in this podcast talking with us right now, and they were between those ages, one of them is a virgin. Straight up. Yeah, this is the official podcast did a whole thing about it. The 4 of them, they do a podcast, the 4 of them. It's like a top 25 podcast on Spotify. They were just trying to find out who was the virgin between the 4 of them. It was the funniest shit. Like, I don't know, man. I think it's Charlie. No, it's not me. It was the funniest shit, bro. But anyway, I hate that shit. It's like you shouldn't, if you have feelings for somebody, that's a beautiful, blossoming thing that should be explored. It's a healthy thing, regardless of how it winds up ending.
Yeah, and if it's not reciprocated, again, at least I'm suggesting.
Don't let yourself get too far in with somebody before that happens, unless you literally can't help it, and it's the rare case where you are actually in love with them.
And here's another thing too. It's like, no person is more important than yourself. Remember that fucking always. Literally. Like, your happiness is paramount. Yours, your own, is the most paramount compared to anyone else's. You are number 1 when it comes to the list of priorities in your own life. Always fucking remember that. Don't ever forget it. No girl or no guy, if y'all are gay out there, like, in our audience, like, no guy is, like, also, no guy or girl is worth, like, you basically putting a whole halt to your life. Like, David, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because, trust me, like, I'm not looking to fall in love with nobody anytime soon. Even, God knows, almost 2 years after my breakup, I'm just focusing on myself and building myself up, but your boy is still trying to fuck. So, like, he's putting his best foot forward out there. And even though, like, you can be a little sad after rejection, I never let myself get far enough with somebody to the point where I, take it so personally that I fucking sad boy about it, even though I kind of was doing that today, but not because, like, I, like, had feelings for a girl or some shit like that. More so because it was making me think about how, like, how's my personal growth gone as a person. Like, I was mad at myself for doing the things I do or saying some of the things that I say. But, like, yeah, I do agree with you. Can you say that point one more time? I lost my train of thought.
Essentially, that your happiness is the most important. Your own.
Yeah, like you don't let somebody get like so far in with somebody to the point where you take it so personally that it's gone. You're gonna get rejected. Like I'm talking to my fellow, like my young dudes out there. You're gonna get rejected like 9 times before you find that girl who wants to slob on your knob.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
you know, like it's just the way it is. We talked about the Tinder statistics before, and there's no reason to take that personally. You're not attracted to everyone either, right? It's part of the reason that I don't even like Tinder. Half the girls I match with are women that I am not attracted to, like, at all, and therefore I don't do anything about it, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a misogynist for that. It's just, you gotta, like, be, like...
Preferences. Everyone's got them.
Yeah, and guess what? So do women. So do women, and you just weren't their preference. Don't take that personally. The only time that I can think that people, will take it personally and actually sad boy about it is in the rare case that you're actually in love with that person. Because let me tell you something, what most motherfuckers do not understand. Holy God, there is I'm surprised it took us this long to talk about this, because these are thoughts that have racked my brain for years at this point. My ex actually felt the same way with the way that we talked about it.
Oh, and guys, real quick, we're going to wrap this up after David's whole tangent. Go ahead.
Yeah, there is a stark raven difference between just having a crush on somebody and or wanting to fuck them and being full-blown in love with a person. I think to fully mature and have a mature relationship with somebody, or at the very least have like a healthy experience dating, you need to know the difference between those two things.
Oh, yeah.
The longer you don't, the worse that's going to wind up being for you in the long run. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I could have some little crushes on the girls that are in my life now, the ones that I've been interacting with recently. I could, like, try to fuck some of the ones that I'm with, and I'd be straight up about that with them. Tell them, like, what your interests are. Like, don't just be a fuckboy and, like, pretend you like them like that. Have them catch feelings for you, and then just dump them when you get what you want. That's incredibly shitty. But, you gotta know the differences between those two things for your own sake. You let yourself get too far, you're gonna take that rejection way, way worse. That's what I'm saying here. You know, so, yeah, there you go. It's been a very, romantic episode of the
very
WD
emotionally
experience.
Charged today.
I was emotionally charged today, just in general.
That is fair. That is fair.
And in case you want to see how emotionally charged I can be in a role, here's my Fiverr profile. You can listen to my demo reels right now, which I'm probably going to update pretty soon. It's got my commercial reel, my character reel. I do commercial work, promo work, character work, YouTube stuff even. If you need like a voiceover for your YouTube channel, whatever the project is, if you like my voice, you think I'd be a good fit, please hit me up. I'm cheap. I offer some other services for cheap if you're interested in them, and I'm trying to build up that repertoire. I'm actually doing another class on Thursday about demo reels, so I'm going to get some good feedback from my old teacher, Paul Liberty, about it. And that's going to be great, because that's like one of the top 10 people that you should know if you're trying to break into voiceover work. That man is an angel. He's so kind, and he never has somebody instilled like something. Never has a man actually instilled me believing in myself more than him. Like, if you're trying to get into voice work, I could not in my fucking world recommend his class anymore if I possibly tried. I might link that in the description if anything. He does occasional intro to voiceover classes. Definitely hit him up if you're interested in that. But, yeah, if you like what you hear, feel free to throw me onto that shtick. Denise, the links.
You guys can find us on Instagram. You can find us on, I was going to say Facebook again.
You got to post more memes to the Instagram.
I kind of have to. Yeah.
Like, I think we legit should have our Instagram be just memes. I'm super down for that.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I'd be down.
Well, besides maybe the occasional link that's just like, oh, hey, latest episode is up.
Yeah,
that's it. You know,
back to and then it's like back to the memes. So Instagram, not Facebook, obviously, for reasons. Twitter.
Oh, you mean Meta?
Facebook, yes. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and a bunch of others that will be in our description box below, and as well as the links. Guys, thank you so much again for thank you so much again for tuning in to this very low-key romantic / emotionally charged episode of the Double D Experience.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
We hope you guys will leave a like, comment, and subscribe to David's channel of Nintoonist, and also follow us on our podcast links in Spotify and all the others, of course.
Feel free to ask us anything too if you want. If there's a specific topic that you guys want us to talk about, we're a variety podcast on here. It's a banter podcast, so for real, we'll talk about fucking anything.
Give some. David, what was that thing you always said about our podcast? It's like we have just enough.
Just enough structure to support our lack of structure, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
So give us a bit of structure to. At our very severe lack of structure. At the very least, at the very least, for the last couple months, it's been that way. But yeah, guys, if there's any questions, please send it our way.
What if somebody? Hold on. What if somebody went to the leaning? What if somebody went to the Leaning Tower of Pisa and gave it a little push?
Whoa! All right, lights off.
We love you guys.
On that note.